So, Tiny Humie, what's your plan for getting in this place?
My name is Andromache.
Yeah, I'm not saying that, mouth mush. Till you get a better name, you're Tiny Humie.
Andromache clung to Captain Crump as she sat across his shoulders, the Storm Boy rocket pressed into her back. This green guy smelled really, really bad. But Andromache didn't dare hold her nose as she gripped tightly to the orc.
I think that one's getting ready to leave.
The freebooter pointed out one of the heavy cargo cruisers whose thrusters had begun to fire up.
Here we go.
As the lumbering ship's engines roared against the planet's gravity, Captain Crump ignited his rocket and soared up the tremendous hive spires in one immense bound. The bellowing cacophony of the orcish contraption was masked by the departing spacecraft. Andromache held on for her life as the two landed on an ornate balcony in the upper spire. The orc captain ducked out of sight immediately, pressing himself against one of the pillars.
You go first, and I'll follow. The bigger humies usually don't crump the little humies when they see 'em.
As Andromache was about to enter the tower, a servo skull emerged from a corridor and hovered onto the balcony. The young noble froze in place as the skull turned its sensors towards her. In a split second, Captain Crump brought his chopper down on the little cybernetic construct, shattering the skull and mashing the electronic components inside. The Tooth Fairy probably knows we're here now.
Oh no, the Tooth Fairy knows you're here. Ain't no way the Tooth Fairy's gonna be expecting me.
Are you sure? Maybe somebody saw us fly up here.
Stop worrying. You humies is always worrying. None of that matters if we find the Tooth Fairy and snick them afore they snick us.
Back in her boudoir, Clytemnestra had begun laying out different implements of torture before the captured Sarpedon and Brises. Pale, wicked servants assisted her that wore twisted masks, bearing the jagged teeth that the mutant Clytemnestra had pulled from her own mouth. She was careful to speak in a manner which she did not pull back her lips, as she had not yet implanted new dental replacements. Oh, the struggle for beauty and perfection is forever, my dears. While this may be extremely painful, have some comfort in knowing that a small part of you will live on, reflected in my immaculate, pristine visage. One of the larger servants lumbered forward with some kind of cruel metal device designed to pry open the victims' mouths. As the harvester reached up to remove the gag from Brice's mouth, another servant, attired in a more typical manner for a bureaucrat, entered the room. Clytemnestra sighed with annoyance. Glaucus, I told you never to interrupt me during my interrogations. If I didn't have more pressing matters, I'd have you on the slab. 1,000 apologies, my resplendent mistress. But I think you might want to see this. This footage was recorded by a patrolling servo skull in the upper hive spire. The servant handed Clytemnestra a data slate for her perusal. She raised an eyebrow at what she saw. The Thatchum scanner determined that this small girl was none other than Andromache, Priam's own granddaughter. Clytemnestra furrowed her brow in confusion. This doesn't make any sense. How did she get here? Why is she here? No, that can't be her. That must be some kind of disguise. This is some kind of trap, an assassination attempt, perhaps. She must also have someone with her. Whoever destroyed the servo skull. We don't even know how many. Glaucus, deploy security. Restrict access to any other level. I'll be sealing off my quarters. You and your men deal with this, Glaucus. Now, my pretties, I haven't forgotten about you. Once we're good and securely locked down, I will take good care of you.
Why'd you have to be seen by the wee floaty skull thing?
Why did you have to land on a balcony that had a small floaty skull thing on it? Ugh. Look, we don't have time for this. If you want your teeth and I want my treasure, we can't fight.
I hate not fighting.
You'll have your chance, big green man. Do you have any rocket juice left?
No, that was a big jump. Ain't got no jump left.
Okay, then I guess we have to climb. Whenever strange people get caught in the palace, everything shuts down. They'll lock down this level. So what we gotta do is we climb on the outside and look for the fanciest, prettiest room. That's gotta be the Tooth Fairy's room.
Makes sense to me. You know, your little Humie grots can be just as cunning as regular grots.
What?
Don't worry about it. Let's get this loot.
And so Captain Crump and Andromache scaled the outside of the tremendous Gothic spires of the hive, inching closer and closer to Clytemnestra's quarters. As they did so, they could hear alarms going off inside the spire on the level they just left. Dozens of armed men were sweeping through the rooms. Andromache and Captain Crump managed to slip out of sight just before the personal security force of Clytemnestra reached the balcony with the destroyed servo skull. Both the orc and the young girl were quite proficient climbers. Children always enjoy climbing on things, but Andromache had gone out climbing on her own hive spires back home whenever she was mad or wanted to be alone. Captain Crump was a muscle-bound orc who could easily haul himself up the side of the spire, simply going arm over arm, rarely having to find a foothold for himself to push off of. Together they made excellent progress, with Andromache looking in the windows of each level as they passed. A few dozen feet above them, suddenly, Andromache could see what almost looked like the balcony leading to a grand cathedral or something. Nothing else close even looked nearly this fancy. I think that's it.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Both the orc and the noble girl crept beneath the balcony. They could hear voices above and the sounds of boots clumping around. Guards, most likely. As they crept just below the lip of the balcony, Andromache breathed out slowly. Captain Crump also tensed. This was all that stood between them and riches beyond their wildest dreams.